It was about 20 years ago when my first husband and I went through a divorce, a nasty divorce. And it was a divorce that I was not looking forward to. I was believing God to change him and to turn his life around. And I had that faith to believe that. And even though he was an alcoholic and he had been unfaithful to me over and over again, of course that wasn't what happened. He filed for divorce, but then when he did, he began harassing me, giving me a really difficult time. And I didn't understand why he was doing that. And it was a real challenge to my faith. Because we had two boys, I chose to forgive him, and I chose to let God work in me. And through all of that, you know, we kept in contact, and we still do, even though the boys are grown now. And I was talking to him recently, and he was sharing with me about his current life situation, which he is now facing a divorce. And his soon-to-be ex-wife is treating him in similar ways that he was treating me. But the miracle was that in all of that, I didn't feel like, yes, I'm so glad, or any of those things. I was able to say to him, you know, Tom, I'm really sorry that you're having to go through this. And I meant it. And that was a miracle to me of what God has done in my life. In the course of our conversation, he was saying, I don't know if God can ever forgive me. And I said, yes, Tom, he can. I said, God's grace is sufficient. God's grace reaches deeper than the stain of sin. And I said, I'm willing to pray with you if you would like to pray. I said, you know the deal. You know how it goes. And he said, I would appreciate that. And we prayed together on the phone, and I heard him with my own ears asking God to take control of his life. The miracle in me, the miracle that God had done in me, there was no animosity in me. There was a point in time when he was married to his second wife that he died. And when I heard about this, you know, like months later, and how she was trying to resuscitate him, and I remember thinking to myself, well, it's a good thing he wasn't married to me, because I wouldn't have resuscitated him. And so, wow, to feel the difference in me in that moment, it wasn't a dream, it was real. It took getting outside of my own thinking, and I need other people to do that, because we don't know what we don't know. Celebrate Recovery was probably well, had a very impactful influence in my life. Coming to Celebrate Recovery, learning about my codependency, learning about the role that I played in the demise of my marriage, and taking responsibility for that, so that I was no longer blaming him for everything, but I was taking responsibility for the part that I played. Along with that, my friends who would pray with me. And one of the great things about people at Grace that is so unlike any church I've ever been in is that people love you right where you are. And that was huge, and I needed that. So they were affirming me, they were, you know, letting me know that they didn't lose confidence in me because I was struggling, or because I was being real and saying, hey, I'm struggling with this, but they were willing to pray with me, and they loved me anyway. And so I would say that the two biggest impacts were Celebrate Recovery and then my own personal friends. The freedom in helping somebody else that you also receive. There's a scripture that says it's more blessed to give than to receive. When you are giving of yourself in that way, not only do you experience a release in yourself and a satisfaction in helping other people, but watching God work in somebody else's life and know that He used you. You know, I've said things to people in the course of conversation. I knew I wasn't saying that. I knew that it was coming from God because I wasn't smart enough to, to be able to say those things to them. And it was just God using me. And if you don't step out and to help someone, and that's that stepping out in faith, you know, that's that taking that step out of the boat. If you don't do that, then you can't, you're missing what God has for you to see Him at work. I don't know how that does something in you, but it does.